Destiny is cryptic. It calls on us to serve when we least expect it. My name is Myorin. This is the story of how I came to rule a land in peacetime, and later defend a castle in war. The year is 1578. It is morning, the air misty and fresh. I stare out at a violet sky. I have just received some devastating news. My husband, Yoshioka Akioki, has been killed in battle. It is news that crushes me. I loved him. I go from someone who could leave important decisions to her powerful husband to being a woman, alone, in an ever-changing, dangerous world. My husband was killed in the Battle of Mimigawa. This was a battle between the Otomo clan, the clan we serve, and the Shimazu clan. It was therefore at the hands of the Shimazu clan that my husband was killed, and though I know untempered vengeance is never healthy, I find myself unable to forget this fact. It falls to my son, Yoshioka Munemasu, to succeed as lord of our region. There's just one problem. He is 10 years old. In reality, therefore, it falls to me to counsel him and, well, effectively run things in the background. Time passes, and it turns out I'm pretty good at running things. In fact, my reputation comes to precede me. The Portuguese missionary Luís Foix speaks of a woman who rules the area of Oita City. Well, that's me. To understand what happened next in my story, you first have to understand a map of Japan. Of Japan's 4 main islands, we lived on the island of Kyushu. We were based in the Bungo region, the capital of which was Oita. It is a diverse landscape: mountains, forests, and coastal areas, cypress trees, azaleas, and wild deer. At the time, the most powerful man in the country, a great daimyo, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, later called one of the great unifiers of Japan, had amassed control of a large part of the country. He now dominated the islands of Honshu and Shikoku. Naturally, he turned his attention to Kyushu. Meanwhile, the Shimazu clan, the dominant force on the island of Kyushu, which operated from the Satsuma province, this was the clan responsible for killing my husband, decided to preempt Hideyoshi's invasion. The Shimazu clan began plans to attack and move upon the 3 main castles in our region: Funai, Tsurusaki, Usuki, their intention being to gain total domination of Kyushu. In December 1585, word reaches me that the Shimazu clan are headed toward my castle, Tsurusaki. Rumors on the wind suggest the Shimazu forces comprise as many as 3,000 men. The person leading the Shimazu forces is a man named Shimazu Iehisa. In his 30s, Shimazu Iehisa is known to be sharp and wily, able to deploy resources for maximum effect. Just a year earlier, at the Battle of Okitanawate, Shimazu Iehisa, with just 5,000 men, led his side to victory against an army of 30,000 men, and took out a powerful daimyo of the day nicknamed the Bear of Hizen. Learning that I will be facing such a formidable opponent as Shimazu Iehisa naturally brings trepidation. Outsmarting Shimazu Iehisa won't be easy. At this time, my son is at Usuki Castle, but here where I am, at Tsurusaki Castle, it feels desolate and barren. Of the people remaining at Tsurusaki Castle, many are not even soldiers. Some are women. Despite this, time is limited and our preparations must begin. I would be lying if I said I wasn't filled with fear. One of the maids touches my arm, though she doesn't say anything. Her face asks the question, "Are we going to die?" Through my face, I attempt to tell her we will be okay. In the beginning, I attempt to foster a spirit of camaraderie in our shared goal to defend our home. The women quietly sing songs, raising the morale and keeping spirits light. At night, I lay awake with nervous anticipation. I wouldn't let anyone know it, of course. The most powerful war is fought in the mind. Control of one's own mind, then the ability to control perception in the mind of others. I must therefore convince those around me that I can lead us to victory. I can't do this with a blind optimism. Castle sieges can be particularly bloody, especially for those inside. Approximately 4 years earlier, the fortress of Takatenjin was besieged for about a year before the fortress fell to Oda Tokugawa forces. Nearly 1,000 people were killed. We do not want to suffer a similar fate. Both women and men involved themselves in the preparations. As it turns out, skills that had been traditionally considered the remit of us women can now be deployed with great aplomb. Cords are braided to make ropes. What would previously have been crafted into utensils are now crafted into spikes and other weapons. We must get creative. We must get clever. We lay traps. We dig moats around the castle and holes which we cover with grass. Natural elements are utilized in the traps, including bamboo and water. We construct walls. We train some of the local residents to fight for the very first time. We also tie ropes around trees with small bells to sound the alarm when our enemy approaches. One day, the bells sound. The attack comes at night. I wake from my sleep and alert the generals. We ready our positions. To the invaders at the front line, one final surprise. I appear at the top of the castle, a sight that causes them to exclaim, "A woman!" Yes, that's right, folks. A woman. Hell hath no fury like a woman avenging her dead husband. Here I am, dressed for battle, sword raised. Brace yourselves for a reckoning, you unsavory troublemakers! And so, the attack begins. And what of the traps we laid? Well, they work better than expected. Better than even we expected. A large number of troops fall down the disguised pits. Our preparations pay off. A space within the castle is set aside for our wounded fighters to rest and recover. A makeshift hospital, if you will. However, we show great resilience, and for the most part are able to avoid casualties. I am even able to lead a unit of soldiers with teppo, or firearms, to take out those Shimazu troops who make it past our booby traps. It has been said that 16 times the Shimazu troops tried to gain control of the castle using different vantage points, and 16 times we drove them back. The fighting continues for day and night. Signs that we are successfully holding the line come when offers are sent in to entice me into surrendering the castle. Offers of gold and silver. But I reply with, well, it's probably best not to repeat what I reply with. Suffice it to say, they got the message. We were not surrendering. Notwithstanding our unwavering resistance, you will remember the Shimazu troops are being led by Shimazu Iehisa, known to be intelligent, known to adapt his approach to match his enemy. We had been able to outsmart and outwit him multiple times, but like the flailing fish that thrashes about in desperation when defeat looms, eventually it hits on something, and that's what happens here. A Shimazu arrow strikes me suddenly on the field, and the Shimazu troops seize their opportunity. They set upon me, like wild dogs dragging me off the field. Dazed and confused, I find myself taken to one of their camps. There is so much smoke from the fighting. At first, I'm disoriented. My fate is now all but inevitable. Death. I can only hope it will be swift. I prepare myself for the worst. Then, I think back earlier in the siege, how time and again I had been able to match the men at their own game. If Shimazu Iehisa can wriggle in and out of difficult situations, why can't I? And where people saw my being a woman as a weakness, maybe I can use it to my advantage. I'm going to need a plan. I left myself appear dainty, like the petals of cherry blossom. I use humor. Slowly, the men thaw a little in the way they treat me. They start to take a liking to me. I especially get along with one of the senior generals, Nomura. He seems different from many of the other soldiers, more in control of himself. One day, in the still of a bamboo grove, he says my being a woman fighter reminds him of bamboo, capable of being both soft and hard at the same time. I reply that I see the same in him, balanced, like the two sides of a samurai sword, with a calmness behind his eyes like a still pond. Eventually, it is proposed by the Shimazu clan that we end the fighting, and to everyone's surprise at this point, I agree. I notice that the Shimazu troops themselves have suffered heavy losses, and I recognize how this peace brokering is very much in their interest too. I don't make this observation aloud, of course. Instead, at my direction, my soldiers leave the castle, and we allow ourselves to mingle for a while, sharing food. For the next few weeks, I am permitted to live at the castle in this uneasy peace. To all appearances, things seem calm, but beneath it all, a memory. A memory of my husband and his death at the hands of this Shimazu clan, those 8 or so years earlier. I vowed I would never forget it, and I don't. Some news arrives. Important news. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the powerful daimyo, with ambitions of conquering all of Japan. Well, it is learnt that he is headed for the island of Kyushu with an army of 200,000 men. To secure their existing territory in the west of the island, the Shimazu forces decide to retreat to ready for battle. Making the most of the positive relations I have built with this clan, I let them believe I am supportive of this. Some even ask me to come back with them. I promise them I will. I arrange for food and drink before they set off. But remember when I referred to devising a plan? Like the pits we dug around the castle as a trap, one final trap has been laid. As the Shimazu clan head westwardly, I give the orders for a secret attack. Against them. The Shimazu soldiers, drunk on the food and wine provided earlier, are completely taken by surprise. They are in no position to fight, not properly at least. As a result, our troops are able to inflict heavy losses on them. It is a resounding victory for us. With a few more carefully arranged attacks, we cut the Shimazu troops down even further. It isn't easy. By befriending the Shimazu troops, I had come to know many of them, including the general Nomura, who I mentioned earlier. When Nomura was able to escape one of our ambush attacks, some wondered whether I had given him advance notice of my plans. I can neither confirm nor deny. What I can say is that, in the end, we were simply soldiers operating for the survival of our clans. For so long I had sought vengeance against the Shimazu clan for what they did. After satisfying that bloodlust, part of me came to see my own clan reflected in theirs. Every soldier on the field is merely following the direction of their own clan. Beyond these personal reflections and personal misgivings about our success on the battlefield, the victory was momentous. In time, it would be credited with impacting the very fate of the island of Kyushu altogether. The victory was so significant that news spread of a certain brave warrior woman who had fought the Shimazu clan with unparalleled intensity and reached none other than Toyotomi Hideyoshi himself. I was honored with the title Guardian of Tsurusaki. Hideyoshi even requested to meet with me. It would have been quite the meeting. But by this point, I craved for my life before the fighting. I declined the invite, sinking back into a more ordinary, peaceful existence. The beauty of simplicity and balance. Over time, the Otomo clan would fall out of favor with Hideyoshi after he became displeased with a daimyo called Otomo Yoshimune. Some of our lands get confiscated as a result, and I am able to drift further into obscurity. But what ultimately became of me? The Guardian of Tsurusaki, as was the title bestowed upon me? Well, folks, that would be a story for another day. But The memory of what we were able to achieve at that castle all those years ago, I never forgot.
Under a moonlit sky, I lie in silence. A samurai sword beneath my pillow in defiance. We wait for this castle to be besieged. Destiny's calling me to lead as we take a stand. I may be a woman in a world of men, but the silver moon against my skin guides me through bamboo forests, though the enemy draws near. Snow falls as we wait behind these castles' walls in fear. I must become one with the blade. Their footsteps on the snow are like a serenade. I must defend these walls, though my heart may quake. In this dance of war, every step I take. Through the darkness, whispers of the night, echoes of courage, yet fear takes flight, leading those who never fought before. A silent prayer that we'll endure. I may be a woman in a world of men, but the silver moon against my skin guides me through bamboo forests where the enemy draws near. Snow falls as we wait behind these castles' walls in fear. I wanna become one with the blade. Their footsteps on the snow are like a serenade. I will defend these walls, though my heart may quake. In this dance of war, every step I take. No one can know the fear I feel inside. In the silence, my strength will not hide. The weight of leadership heavy on my shoulders, as the wind whispers tales of warriors. I must become one with the blade. Their footsteps on the snow are like a serenade. I will defend these walls, though my heart may quake. In this dance of war, every step I take. I must become one with the blade. Their footsteps on the snow are like a serenade. I will defend these walls, though my heart may quake. In